In version 1.1, there are at least 29 planets, 2 galaxies, 8 different star clusters, and more than 10 megastructures in Honkai Star Rail, with their own unique ecosystem and lore. For example, there is a planet that is covered by the sea, or even a planet that has a tree that produces life from its fruits. That is quite interesting, isn't it? So today, we'll be talking about 5 of them. Are you ready? If so, let's go. The name Thalassa might have taken inspiration from the Greek word for the sea or sea goddess, and sure enough, in the game, Thalassa is a planet that is mostly covered by the ocean, so the name indeed matches with the environment. It is likely that there are many aquatic creatures like fish living in Thalassa. If we take a look at Tingyun Character Story Part 1, it is mentioned that fish in Thalassa is somewhat special, because for some reason, if Vidyadhara raised fish fry from Thalassa, it would grow double in size. Not only that, Tingyun also mentioned that Thalassa has a pretty deep ocean abyss, which is perhaps deeper than Mariana Trench in our planet Earth. It is still uncertain whether civilization on the planet remains or not, because according to the Seed of Divine Foresight, Thalassa already received a special blessing from Yaoshe the Abundance, which temper with the ecosystem. And we know together, if there is Yaoshe blessing, there would also be the Han or Xianzhou Lions who try to chase them. At this moment, what we know is that the Xianzhou scholars try to help the planet civilization back to its normal life, but we don't know if the help is successful or not. Besides those things, what makes me more interested is their civilization. Like, what do they look like? Like a fish, humanoid, mermaid, or what? How about their technology? How do they communicate with each other? And if they can contact the outer space civilization, how do they do that? These are questions that we don't have answer to yet, which make Thalassa an intriguing and mysterious planet to study. Ocean planet is awesome, but you know, there is more. Let me introduce to you Salsoto, a planet that is full of sand, a sandy planet. Not that sandy, I mean the real sand. This sand might be the result of Salsoto's unique condition, because just as you know, Salsoto is a tidally locked planet, which means Salsoto doesn't experience the alteration of day and night as we do on Earth. In Salsoto, one side is always facing the star, making it hot and bright, while the other side remains cold and dark. There is a reason behind this. The planet rotation is stopped because of continuous asteroid impacts. This suggests that Salsoto might be located in the asteroid belt or orbiting a red star or brown dwarf star, making it an easy target for asteroids. Due to the harsh conditions, the civilization on Salsoto depends on 2 floating cities, with one known as Tumbleweed. Tumbleweed move above the planet's surface along a path called the Terminator Line, which is a mysterious track cycling the planet equator. To power the floating city, people of Salsoto, also known as Skyfisher, hunt Phlogiston jellyfish, which provide a special energy source called Phase Flame. Hunting these jellyfish is dangerous due to extreme conditions like sandstorms and attacks from wild animals on the surface of the planet. If the Skyfisher survive the hunt, they celebrate with their beloved by singing and playing musical instruments made of glass, known as Cadence glass. Even though they survive, some Skyfisher may suffer mental stress from their harsh experience on the planet's surface. If a Skyfisher dies during the hunt, their gear is left behind as a farewell. Oh yeah, about the Cadence glass. Believe it or not, glass is actually made from sand, specifically liquid sand. So it is natural for the people of Salsoto to produce glass, where the sand material is literally everywhere on the planet. What is more interesting is that this Cadence glass will be important later in the lore regarding Salsoto. Okay, over time the Skyfishers became symbols of worship, and because of that, conflicts between the 2 cities arose and led to a civil war among the people of Salsoto. As the war raged on, the planet's magnetic field weakened, and the planet's atmosphere became thinner, which made radiation from the star stronger and intense. Eventually, with thus extreme condition, severe war and weakened planet, the civilization on Sarsoto collapsed. Currently, Sarsoto is just an empty planet containing traces of its civilization. But the good news is, planet Sarsoto itself is gradually recovering. Like planet rotation begins to move, the magnetic field start to function, and many more. Remember with the Cadence glass that we have talked about earlier? This instrument or material is actually rare and can only be found in Sarsoto. And because of that, several years ago, Himeko and Pompom received a mission from Herta to go to planet Sarsoto to find Cadence glass. And you know what they found there beside the Cadence glass? They found Weld. Yes, our Weld, our grandpa. They found him in a spacecraft vessel, I suppose. The details are not really clear, but Weld was not alone. There was also one blonde companion who strongly believed to be at the Void Archive. Later, after the rescue, two of them joined the Express, and at a certain point in time, for unknown reason, the Void Archive decided to leave the Express, which is sometime between March 7 found and before DMC joined the Express. I don't know the exact timing, but roughly around that time, I think. Well, I wonder how Weld and Void Archive can be stranded on Sarsoto. Also, where the heck is the Void Archive now? Surely he doesn't do anything suspicious, right? And as for Weld, he is still trying to find a way to go back to his homeworld planet Earth. Speaking of homeworld, I believe most of you already know that the Express begins and ends at Pegana, Akivili home planet. But do we really know what Pegana is? So far, the only thing that stated about Pegana in the game is Pegana is an isolated world, whatever that means. Because of that, at this moment, every information that we will be talking about will be considered as speculation. First, we need to define what isolated planet really means. In my humble opinion, there are two options. Number one, isolated planet could mean the condition of the planet. Let's say it is trapped in a certain area, like located inside a dense asteroid belt, so it is hard to go or visit. Or number two, isolated planet mean the civilization on the planet decide to not make any contact with other civilization outside. If this is the case, then there are two reasons. Either they are afraid to make contact because of past trauma, or they have a unique tradition that doesn't allow or restrict them to do so. If we take a look at the current story, Pegana seems to fit the second option, especially for the second reason, the unique tradition they have, because so far, information regarding Pegana is probably prohibited by their own residents. That is probably the reason why Akivili decided to travel across many worlds to get more experiences outside their home planet, which indirectly broke the tradition itself. Among our community, there is a popular speculation that said Pegana could be actually a planet that appears on the login screen and Galactic Rhapsody video in Honkai Star Rail YouTube channel. The reason behind this is quite simple. If we take a look closely, the planet on the login screen is a planet surrounded by space rocks, and it looks like the planet's surface appears to be mostly covered by a white surface, which fits with the description of isolated planet. If this speculation is true, then the situation seen in Pegana seems to indicate that Pegana once experienced a major disaster or conflict, and that is probably why the planet became isolated from the outside world, both physically and tradition. Additionally, that major disaster or conflict might be related to Stellaron phenomenon, although it is still in debate because Stellaron phenomenon just occurred merely 11 AE long, where Akivili's journey is way longer than that, which means the major disaster happened caused by something else. What is it? Nobody knows. Could be a civil war, weapon testing, and many more. Alongside that, there is also one crazy speculation that states Pegana could be a parallel planet to Earth, or even planet Earth itself, just in different names. The speculation derived from the fact that the Express used a special calendar system originated from Pegana, called Trailblaze Calendar, which is so similar to human Earth calendar system. While the speculation seems interesting, in fact, it can still be explained easily without mentioning Earth. With the vast universe, there are countless planets that have similar properties to Earth, like the rotation, evolution, and distance of the planet to the star. Pegana could be just a planet that has certain properties of Earth that make it have similar calendar system. If you think it is already crazy speculation or story, you might also want to know the story surrounding planet Emerald 3, which is just as exciting as before. Emerald 3 was a planet that orbits a red giant star, which would explode and shrink into a white dwarf star. So the planet is actually on the verge of collapse. According to the relic band of Sizzling Thunder, it shares a story about planet Emerald 3. During the crisis, rich people decided to escape by renting spaceship, leaving the poor resident behind. But one wealthy teenage resident named Janice did something amazing. Despite her parents' decision to secure a spaceship for her, she, as the one who followed the Doctor of Chaos, chose to return to the planet with her bandmates. Janice and her friends want to support the remaining poor residents and prove their planet survival and their life is still valuable, even in the face of destruction. To make their message heard, Janice and her friends organized a special concert, their last concert to be exact. This concert was amazing and resulted in the creation of 3 music albums, Cheap Salvation, Our Way, and White Star, which were taken from the 3 stages of Red Giant Star to White Dwarf Star. These albums then became the most beloved and well-known by many across the world. Not only that, the relic set design is actually transpired from the actual costume of each member of the band, the cool sunglasses, electric boots, the punk jacket, and also the amazing bracelet. Man, this teenage band is just built differently, making them so unique. But can their uniqueness compete with the inhabitants of planet Vonwak? Vonwak is a small and dense planet covered with rainforests and lush islands. It contains a pretty diverse wildlife. You could imagine this as like a rainforest, but on the Pacific Ocean. The versatile soil of Vonwak allows trees to grow exceptionally large and produce abundant fruit. But that is not the most awesome thing on Vonwak. The most awesome thing on Vonwak is actually the origin of its fauna, which is from a sacred tree called the Testang tree on the main island, Wak Island. Testang tree has a special fruit that can give birth to various forms of fauna, including birds, fish, and intelligent creatures known as the Wak-Wak. Not only that, Testang tree also gives birth to creatures known as Demon Kings. These Demon Kings serve as natural predators, maintaining balance within the ecosystem. Every 60 years, Testang tree will produce a new Demon King, making the Wak-Wak come together on Wak Island and fight the Demon King. After defeating the Demon King, the surviving Wak-Wak return home and await for the next cycle. I know you might think, how can these 3 possible exist? It is nonsense. At first, while reading the lore, I also thought the same as you, but later on, there is a reason behind this. Trust me, just continue now. Okay, at some point, certain outsiders arrive on Vonwak, whether scientists, explorers, or others, it remains unknown. After residing on the planet for a while, these outsiders then discovered about the Demon King and became intrigued. When the time for the cycle arrived, the outsider joined forces with the Wak-Wak and traveled to Wak Island to fight the Demon King. Out of expectation, the Demon King turned out to be an interstellar worm believed to be extinct. Seeing that, the outsider gradually became more interested in the island's secret. After a challenging battle, the surviving Wak-Wak returned to their home, while the outsiders, driven by their curiosity, decided to go deeper into the island center, and finally, they found the sacred tree, the Testang tree. And do you know what they actually found? It revealed that the tree was in fact a machine a tool or technology originating from higher civilization. This machine could decode and release life form to restore Voonwak biosphere. The origin of this machine remains uncertain. It could be an artifact from a past advanced civilization on Voonwak, or it could have been implanted by external advanced civilization conducting experiment on the planet. But nevertheless, before departing from the planet, the outsiders decided to erase the data about the Demon King creation, making the end of the 60-year cycle on the planet and starting new peace. At first, I thought what the outsiders did was actually nice. However, it turns out this peace was not going really well. Without the Demon King as a common predator, the unity among the Wak-Wak dissolved, leading to conflict between the two tribes. And so, the Civil War began. Eventually, this Civil War marked the end of the intelligent civilization that once existed on the planet Voonwak. To be fair, after seeing the result, I don't know if what the outsiders did is actually a good thing or not. How about you? If you have any opinion about this, let me know in the comment section below. Okay, I think we have already talked about 5 planets here. The ocean planet, the sandy planet, etc. etc. But we will not stop here. There are still plenty of planets we need to discuss. For example, a planet where Silver Wolf came from, a bandit planet, and many more. We will discuss them all in the next part of the series, Part 3. And while you wait for the next part, you might also want to watch Part 1, which I have discussed about Jailo 6 and a certain planet that could be our next destination. If you are interested, click the video right here.